United States, we also signed an agreement with our counterparts in those countries, also in addition to the trilateral infrastructure partnership that you were involved in signing.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hagerty. Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great to see you, Scott. Thank you very much for your service. Senator Cardin referenced the ongoing desire to open up an office in Brazil to help quarterback our increasing efforts there. And I wanted to use that as a means to talk about the way that you view the utility of DFC in-country presence. One place where DFC presence seemed to be working was in the Balkans. There was a Belgrade office that was open, and it was, a unique means for the United States to be able to project influence all across the region, even though it was located in Belgrade. Folks from Kosovo and other Albanian majority nations thought that the DFC was a fair actor. And it's closed now, which I think was a mistake. But it does seem, with the opening or the proposed opening of a site in Brazil, that you do see the efficacy of actually having some folks on site. So, I wonder if there's any opportunity to take another look at the presence in the Balkans. Over the last couple weeks, we have seen events there spiral nearly out of control. And my read is that very small investment paid dividends in terms of deals, but also had a calming effect on the region writ large.
Thanks for the question. You're absolutely right that increasing our international presence is important. Our peers in the development finance institution world have usually between 15 and 30% of their staff abroad, gathering local information, doing business development, and having a presence on the ground, coordinating with their embassies and so forth. We have 1% of our staff. We have 5 people. It's way too small. It requires funding, and it requires congressional notification. And just to make sure that we're on the same page about what happened in Belgrade, that office never opened because it never cleared in time congressional notification. There were people there on temporary duty assignment.
Right. A really good staffer that people trusted.
On temporary duty assignment. This all happened long before I arrived at DFC, but I've looked into it. We are now, after a comprehensive review of where would be best to expand this presence, we now have a plan to try to take it to 3 or 4% of our staff, a tripling or a quadrupling of our staff. And we're looking region by region. There's some issues with space at embassies or where we can get people. We have to coordinate with the State Department. We have to congressionally notify every single office that we open. But we're working hard at it and have begun discussions. The Brazil office, that was funded by the State Department. As the ranking member mentioned, we are contributing funding in order to broaden out the mandate from what the State Department funding was restricted to.
Well, that's good news. I hope that you'll find bipartisan support for that effort. And again, I hope you will take a look at that region in particular. Last question is this. China takes advantage of countries with high levels of corruption and really weak rule of law. DFC cannot really operate in environments where you have public officials on the take. And so I just wanted you to say a few words about how important the work that the U.S. government does, in particular through state and USAID, to fight public corruption, how important those efforts are to your ability to find the space to do deals. This is an advantage China has. They're willing to do deals with officials who are looking for handouts. We aren't. And so my guess is that you rely on the work that the United States and Europe are doing to try to run anti-corruption programming in places that are of interest to you.
First, I'd say it's not always an advantage. I think having our values be clear, transparency, rule of law, private enterprise, is something people in these countries want to be associated with. It often actually has a political advantage to be associated with an American project because it shows that it's clean, and that has advantage. But I take your point that many circumstances, particularly in competitive situations, corruption is a problem, and is an important tool. Working with our interagency colleagues, State Department, USAID, but also others who are important for helping create an enabling environment and reform. Economic reform creates more opportunities for business and business to operate. That's important for our deal flow. In terms of corruption and transparency, these are things that we're committed to making sure the standards are very high. We work with all of our colleagues at Post or in the intelligence community as we conduct know your customer work and due diligence and vetting on our partners. I mean, and oftentimes that results in information that causes us to not be able to pursue deals. But these standards are important. I don't think we should compromise our standards in order to win a deal. Having our values be clear through what we do, I think, is one of the most important elements of what DFC and the other parts of the U.S. government do.
Well said. Thank you, Mr. Chair.